today, since we have both Mr. Bond and Mr. Krikorian in Budget and Finances. Councilmember Monica Rodriguez, welcome to the T3 Committee. Ms. Rodriguez, appreciate your presence. Thank Council President Wesson for appointing you here so we can move forward on, I think we're still debating whether or not we have a quorum. We got city attorneys outside huddling, but you and I are here, and that's what matters the most. Sergeants, if you could shut the door. Thanks, David. We're just telling them to pipe down a little bit. That'd be great. So with that, if I can direct your attention to the agenda. In fact, first let's do the multiple items. Speaker, multiple items, and general public comment. So I'll call up Herman to come forward. 2 minutes and then 1 minute on general public comment. Just to let you know, Johnny, it doesn't appear on the screen here. Am I doing something wrong?
Dennis.
Oh, he's got to activate it. Okay.
There you go.
2 minutes on multiple items and then 1 minute. Oh, here we go.
Now, on consent here with item 1, dealing with the last date for council's action regarding a term of 10 years with a 10-year option to extend, sounds very fishy. Sounds almost like blackmail. But this type of blackmail is more of a way of extorting monies that could be created for the public's interest. That's item 1. And then I go to item 7. This dealing with the Third Amendment, although I'm protected by the First Amendment when dealing with white niggers regarding the last day for council's action regarding harbor commissioners' reports relative to a resolution. Not that this is sea breeze, but this has to do with child development. The same child development we dealt with in council chambers this morning with Zuma Dog, D-O-G-G, in reference to child development when he talked about the incident of a child regarding Penal Code 1192.7. These type of rapes of classes and college-bound courses need to stop. We can't take advantage of women and children when they're unconscious in regards to the Liberty Hill Plaza. Now, I think we should demand some type of security. But let's go on to the report anyways. The report number R180080, dated March 23rd, 2018. Report from Mike Feuer's office by David Michelson, the Chief Assistant City Attorney. And his question regarding the matter, please stop fucking with truck drivers.
Okay, general public
This
comment,
is
1
not
minute.
where children trafficking comes from. It comes from the blackmail of Joe Busciano ratting out to the FBI regarding Janice Hahn's involvement with Seabreeze. And the other issue is David Rue needs to step down, remove himself from that council horseshoe on allegations of a rape regarding David E. Rue back in 2012. If it was any other person like myself, a typical stakeholder in the city of Angelenos, I would have been arrested and detained, and I would have had an AIDS screening or specimen taken from me the way David Rue had his in regards to that minor that he tried to sleep with while she was unconscious at a party. David Rue must step down and get the fuck out of sexual harassment in Los Angeles.
Okay, thank you. So Herman, your MO is to disrupt these meetings, so just be warned not to disrupt, otherwise you will be asked to leave. Okay, that's your warning. Okay. So Sherry Doe. Any more speakers here that want to speak on multiple items? Okay, hearing none. sorry?
And general public comment.
Anyone here for general public comment? Please come forward on a non-agenda item. Please come forward. Okay, we'll close general public comment. Thank you, John. Okay, Ms. Rodriguez, if I can now turn your attention to the agenda. What I'd like to do first is to continue item number 10 without objection, and then take on consent, unless you want to hold any of these items. Items 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 11. Good?
Yep.
Okay, without objection, that'll be the order. We'll approve those items on consent. So we have before us now 2 discussion items. Let's now take item number 1.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, John White, City Clerk. Board of Harbor Commissioners and CO reports relative to Resolution 188269 regarding proposed permit 937 with Space Exploration Technologies Corporation for the construction and operation of a research, design, and manufacturing facility at Port Berth 240 for rockets and spacecraft for a term of 10 years with 2 10-year options to extend and at an initial annual rent of approximately $1.38 million.
Thank you. Yet again, another game changer for the LA waterfront. I'm really excited about this item that's come before us. We've been following it through the process of the commission, as well as we heard in the mayor's State of the City address, the excitement that's been around the agreement from the commission, the Harbor Commission, to grant this lease. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. DiBernardo, the Executive Director of Marketing and Customer Relations, and Deputy Executive Director, rather, and of course our Director of Industrial Real Estate, Jack Hedge. So the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, and welcome to pitching in today, so thank you. So as you said, I have Jack Hedge next to me here. I'd like to give you just a little background of the SpaceX project and the property that we're looking at. So make sure I get the right button. That's the top button.
Dennis, can you direct him to the button, or there's a...
I got it.
Oh, you got it? Okay. Thank you.
So give you a little background of the area we plan to lease out. So in late 2018, we were approached by SpaceX for some land to build spacecrafts that upon completion are too large to move by truck to their launch pad. Therefore, they needed property with water access. They were looking at property in Southern California close to their headquarters in Hawthorne and out of state such as Texas, Louisiana, and Florida. We identified a 19-acre parcel that was sitting fallow since 2005 that once housed the Southwest Marine Shipyard. The area had levels of contamination from the past tenant, and we had no interest from other prospects. SpaceX found the area to be perfect for their future manufacturing opportunities. In mid-2016, we began the necessary environmental remediation of the property, and by the end of 2017, the remediation was completed. This last October, we initiated a term sheet with SpaceX and began the CEQA process. In March of 2018, CEQA was approved by the board, and we concluded a new permit with SpaceX. And today, we bring that permit to you. So just at this point, give you a little mechanics of the permit. The initial term is 10 years with options for 2 additional 10-year extensions. Those extensions have fees associated with them as well. There will be 2 phases. One phase is for almost 11 acres, and that phase includes wharf upgrades, backland improvements that include an 80,000 square foot building, large enough to build spacecrafts, and a wharf area to allow them to transport the finished spacecraft by water to their launch pad. The planned rocket is too large to transport by road, and therefore the need for water transportation. The second phase will include additional 8 acres with additional backland improvements and a 120,000 square foot building. The tenant will pay for all CEQA, maintenance, and repair costs. The tenant will be required to pay prevailing wages, and the tenant is in discussion with those different trade groups. SpaceX is privately funding this project with no public subsidies. So, in terms of compensation, SpaceX will pay us $1.38 million a year with a CPI escalator each year. Per the city charter, we'll have the 5-year compensation review, and as the tenant makes improvements, they'll be entitled to rent credits for their improvements. In phase 1, they'll receive up to $27 million in credits, and they'll need to demonstrate those expenses have been incurred by submitting actual paid invoices. In phase 2, they'll receive up to $15 million in credit. In total, they build out both phases. If they build out both phases, they will receive $42 million in rent credit over the first 20 years. If more environmental contamination is found during construction. SpaceX will receive up to 5% more in credit, or 2.1, for a total of $44 million in credit. We feel by year 21, SpaceX credits will be exhausted, and the port will see revenues in years 21 through 30. After the end of the term of 30 years, the premises with improvements will revert back to the port. With those reversions, the rate of return is estimated at 6.75. The attractive part of this is that the port will be able to fill vacant property that has been fallow since 2005 that includes much needed restoration and development, and the project will generate up to 700 technical jobs. Therefore, we recommend that the TTT and City Council approves this action that the board took. Find it in the best interest that the City of LA and Harbor Department, based on a lower than the port's rate of return policy, but consider that the property was vacant since 2005 with no interest from anyone else, and that it had contamination, and that SpaceX will provide up to 700 new technical jobs. This will enhance the growth of the region and aligns with our vision to create innovative high-tech jobs to the LA waterfront. Therefore, we recommend that you approve this and move this forward to City Council.
Thank you, Mr. Greener. Jack, you want to add anything?
Yes, thank you. Jack Hedge, the Director of Cargo Industrial Real Estate for the port. This is a very exciting project for us. It's a perfect adaptive reuse of this property. This property that had been vacant and unused for well over 10 years. We had multiple people that we ran through there looking for ways to utilize it. It was prohibitively expensive and unfeasible commercially to get it back into more of a cargo-related use. And this use with SpaceX is just a perfect use for us. It keeps those jobs here in LA, and it puts this piece of property back into productive use. It's a good thing all the way around, we believe.
Appreciate that. Appreciate also our port director, Gene Soroka. I see Marta Glevins, who's here as well, Deputy Executive Director, for really thinking outside the box on this piece of property. And really, we've talked about commercial development along the waterfront remaining America's port and the number one port in goods movement. This is really forward thinking and looking at maximizing this. The fact that we have the waterway that's going to be used for the big Falcon rocket and production development at the LA waterfront is something that we really embrace as a community. And I know that Elon Musk is a modern day Henry Ford. The fact that he has made so much progress in such a short amount of time, with not only SpaceX, but with Tesla, Solar City, a Boring Company, gives us a lot of promise for the future of the LA waterfront. With AltaSea at the port, and now SpaceX will become not only the sea, but also space exploration. And I remember this site. I remember building ships, right? And my Uncle Joe worked here for many, many years at this site. And now we're looking at building spaceships, Ms. Rodriguez. So it's really exciting. If you look at also the jobs that will be created here, in light of what's happening in the San Pedro public market, up to 700 jobs is indicated in the report here. We feel that's going to attract these high-end jobs, and also that's going to come with a need for more housing, more amenities, more restaurants. So I envision SpaceX employees taking a ferry back and forth from the new San Pedro public market to Terminal Island. I also envision employees at AltaSea doing the same, riding their bike to work, walking to work. And this is exactly what we're trying to accomplish in the downtown San Pedro area, be able to have and create proximity is everything, as you know, live, work, play. Maybe even Elon Musk will move down to San Pedro, so cut his time 3/4 as well. But nonetheless, I do believe we have Brett Horton's here representing SpaceX.
Yes.
Love for him to come forward. Yes. Good morning, or afternoon rather, and thank you for your interest in the LA waterfront and your investment. Tell us a little bit about this, why this location, why now, and how soon can we get shovels in the ground?
So I'm Brett Horton, the Senior Director of Facilities and Construction for SpaceX, and on behalf of SpaceX, we are very excited to be at the Port of LA to continue to build on our relationship with the port and our activities that are already there. We already have recovery operations, and to really start the development phase of our Big Falcon rocket. We we're looking for waterfront property because the rocket is big. It's too big to ship by land with any economically feasible methods. And so when we found this vacant site, it had been vacant for a while, and it was very unique. One, it's close to our engineering expertise in Hawthorne. It's in a port that's being revitalized. It's in a San Pedro area that has a tremendous amount of employment opportunity there. And it is a great opportunity for us to ship it easily to wherever we launch this from. So we are looking to start construction quickly. We are out to bid currently, and we think we will have our grading permit in hand in the next few weeks to get going.
Fantastic. So timeline on after, I mean, it's got to go to council for full approval. As far as looking at, say, the complete build out of this entire project, what are you looking at?
We expect to bring the shell building online later this year, so sometime between October and December, depending on actual construction, what we find in the ground, and then timing of the remaining permits.
Fantastic. And then I know Lillian has been a huge partner of ours. It's important for us also to ensure that SpaceX partners with our local schools. And is there a game plan? STEM education is something that is in all of our local schools for the LA Unified School District, and it's important that these types of jobs, as we know, will await them since they're learning that right now in elementary, middle, and high schools. What's the game plan as far as the community outreach on this?
Absolutely. We're going to mirror what we already do in Hawthorne and some of our other locations where we partner with elementary schools, high schools, community colleges if they are available. One, to promote STEM education, and also to introduce local area residents to SpaceX. A lot of times, because we're an aerospace company, local residents may not even be aware of the wide range of employment opportunities we have. So by continuing that partnership and building a specific one in San Pedro, we will be able to educate the public on what we have to offer and what opportunities they have there.
Well, on behalf of my constituents and residents, I can't thank you enough. The port, amazing partnership here. San Pedro's taken off, the waterfront's taken off, and I look at the job opportunities, the diversification of the workforce is something we've been called on. Thank God for the docks. My friends and family work the docks as longshoremen. I can tell you right now, my son and daughter will not work the docks, so to have another option is something that we've been thirsting for, and SpaceX will do just that. Ms. Rodriguez?
I'm very excited for, I know what's about to be happening. The transformation that's happening at the port under your leadership, Councilman, is really phenomenal. And as someone from the most furthest northern point of the city's boundaries, I will tell you, I endeavored to actually visit a couple of weeks ago down to the San Pedro area. And I think it took me about close to 2 hours. But
Same time zone. You're in the same time zone.
Same time zone. But I think it's really phenomenal. You've taken a parcel that was not being utilized. You're doing the environmental remediation of the site. All of those things are such a huge benefit. It's such a win-win situation for both SpaceX and the work, the innovation that you're leading. And, really all the work that's happening at our port it's really quite phenomenal. It's exactly what America's port should be doing. I think we are really at the forefront of so much emerging jobs and technology that's being developed here in Los Angeles. I think thank you for helping to really change the narrative about what Los Angeles is. And, the innovation that is happening here is phenomenal. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the transformation and the work starting. I think it's a really exciting prospect for the city as a whole.
Thank you. Thanks, Monica. And having SpaceX plant itself in the LA waterfront area solidifies our effort to create an innovation district. Now we got the blue tech jobs, we got the SpaceX jobs as well, and it'll be a great, again, diversification of the workforce. Anything else y'all want to add? Okay.
Just real quick, I'd like to say thank you to the leadership at the port. They've been an amazing partners from when we started recovery and helping us do kind of what we do best, is see opportunity where others don't. So this is an amazing opportunity, and SpaceX is very happy and excited to be here.
Fantastic. Just know you have our commitment as well. And, I know you have to deal with the Bureau of Engineering and the Department of Building and Safety. That's where I come into play. If you need an expediter, come to my office. We'll expedite as much as we can to get this thing done without any delay.
BOE is amazing, by the way.
Just let you know.
As a former Public Works Commissioner, I will tell you, BOE,
get it.
You've got no better partner.
So hashtag no delays.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Thank you. I believe we have one speaker on this item. Is that Ms. Cox, Brenda Cox? No?
That's for 11.
I'm sorry, for 11, sorry. Okay, I'm still figuring this out.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
That
So,
attention, yeah.
we're okay?
Yeah,
So with
good.
that, we'll approve item 1 and send that to council, which, when's it coming to council, John?
Will be in council on Tuesday, May 8th, next week.
Tuesday, May 8th. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to have to reconsider now item number 11 so that we have a comment, we have a comment card on item number 11. So let's reconsider item 11, bring forward Brenda Cox. Nope. Disregard that. So we'll reapprove item number 11. Okay. So with that, our second and final discussion item is item number 9.
Number 9, consideration of action taken by the Board of Harbor Commissioners on April 5th, 2018, approving a 1-year foreign trade zone operating agreement between the Port of Los Angeles and California Cartage Company for the operation of a multi-usage warehouse within Free Trade Zone 202, Site 1A at 2401 East Pacific Highway. On April 17th, Council asserted jurisdiction over the Board of Harbors Commissioners action pursuant to City Charter, Section 245.
Thank you. I felt that the need to exert jurisdiction over the Board of Harbor Commissioners action pursuant to Charter Section 245 based on last fall's testimony by the truckers that were coming into this location, that California Cartage Company, LLC. So just by way of background, Mr. DiBernardo, who's back at the table, can you just provide us an overview of the foreign trade zone, what it is, and why companies seek the foreign trade zone designation, please?
Yes. Again, this is Mike DiBernardo, Deputy Executive Director.
And just know that we do have a translator here on site. If anyone needs a translator, please raise your hand. Maybe, how do you translate that?
¿Alguien necesitan oír en español? ¿Está bien?
Okay, so I think we're good.
Okay, we're good.
Sorry, Mike.
Oh, you want to translate anyways?
Did you bring headphones or? Okay. So if you need a translator, just pick up some headphones here, and they're available for you. Okay. What's that, John? What are you doing?
She's going to say what you said.
Oh, thank you.
Ok, mi nombre es Liliana. Yo les pregunté si necesitaban la traducción en español, pero de todas maneras estoy aquí con el equipo. Si alguien desea traducción al español, por favor, vengan donde mí, ¿ok? O levanten la mano. Gracias.
Muchísimas gracias. Thank you. Okay. Mr. DiBernardo? Just going back.
No takers. Okay. Okay. Again, Mike DiBernardo, and I have with me Eric Harris, who's Director of Marketing, Cargo Marketing. So the Foreign Trade Zone is a program by the federal government, and it is part of the Commerce Department. Port of LA is a grantee under the program, and the Port of LA's role is very limited. It can be described as administrative. If the FTZ applicant meets the requirements of the FTZ program, the Port of LA administration approval is supportive. Port of LA grants for the management of FTZ Zone 202 is the designation of our grantee. Is part of the U.S. Department of Commerce, and FTZ Zone 202 covers areas in Los Angeles, Orange County, San Bernardino, and parts of Riverside counties. All FTZs are treated as a public utility under the Code of the Federal Regulations, and all who apply to make use of the FTZ or participate in the FTZ must receive uniform treatment under like conditions. Number of active FTZ sites just in our area is 36 activated operators serving over 210 zone users. And the amount of cargo that's stored in the FTZ zone is over $1.6 billion. And Cal Cartage represents about $1.8 million in value of cargo that's stored there. The FTZ, it's a public interest. It promotes the facility of cargo growth and increasing efficiency. It allows, it creates jobs and allows people to actively operate as part of a marketing strategy for us at the Port of LA and competitive advantage for our trade gateway. FTZs are one of the many factors a BCO will consider, cargo owner will consider when deciding port locations for shipping cargo. 1/3 of the port's cargo goes to regional warehouses, and FTZs are instrumental in creating jobs and economic growth in the region. An FTZ provides great flexibility for management of cargo, allowing cargo owners to hold product in an FTZ until it's needed, thus deferring duty fees as well as holding their cargo until it's needed, and then they file customs information all at once with all the cargo that's being used and going to be exported out. With active FTZ site locations, BCOs could divert cargo shipments to other ports and locations. Cal Cartage has been operating this foreign trade zone since 1995. The Board of Harbor Commissioners approved this FTZ site because FTZs are so important to the supply chain. What happens if the FTZs are not approved? The question calls for some speculation and has significant legal implications. I don't know what actions or remedies Cal Cartage may seek if the FTZ permit is denied. They do have other options and go into other FTZ grantees if they like. Further, I do not know what actions or remedies the Department of Commerce may take.
So on that, Mike, if I can, there are appeal options that would be provided for Cal Cartage.
For Cal Cartage, yes.
Can you explain what that appeal process option looks like?
We don't know exactly what they could do, but they could petition back to the Department of Commerce, and then the Department of Commerce can investigate because we are administering the program for them, and then the Commerce Department can impose monetary penalties on the city and the Port of Los Angeles at anywhere from about $1,000 per day in any penalties that we could see. Plus, there's other ramifications because the Commerce Department could revoke our FTZ privileges, which then would allow us not to be able to be active in other FTZ sites as well. So really unknown as far as what the Commerce Department will do at this time, but Cal Cartage may feel that we're not treating them fairly like we do with other tenants. And what's interesting is that we typically grant 5-year permits for everybody, and this one here is only a 1-year permit, which is a lot different than other FTZ grantees.
So a question I have, and then I'll turn it over to Ms. Rodriguez. So I want to turn you to the section 12.02 of the agreement, which states, operator hereby acknowledges that operator's failure to perform any of the following duties and obligations to the reasonable satisfaction of the grantee shall constitute a default, which shall permit the grantee to initiate termination proceedings pursuant to section 12.01. And B of that section indicates proper operation of the zone site in accordance with applicable federal, state, and local laws. Do you believe the operators met this requirement?
We do as FTZ operations, yes.
There have been numerous labor violations at this site previously. Are you aware of that?
We are, yes.
So they're then not in accordance with federal, state, or local laws. Wouldn't you agree?
Janet, come up our city.
Sure. Ms. Sidley?
I think right now all I can say is that we understand that there have been some cases brought, and those cases are still under review, as far as we know. Those would be OSHA cases, and we understand that those are still being investigated, and we are not aware of what the outcome is.
Okay. Ms. Rodriguez, before I turn over to public comment.
So, I mean, just to be clear, so because of the impending kind of investigations, that it hasn't been deemed officially that there has been any infractions as it relates to, or as it could impact this?
As it impacts the FTZ, the OSHA violations would be informative. But the OSHA is undergoing that investigation. They will not share where they are at this point.
So it's indicated on June 12th of 2017, there has been a trial at the National Labor Relations Board, Region 21, on several unfair labor practice charges. April 2016, charges alleging that Cal Cartage interfered with workers' protected activities by threatening and interrogating supporters with termination. There's also been some private litigation dating back to 2014. So I struggle with the fact of, given this tenant.
So just, I'm sorry,
I just-
so
yeah.
to be clear, then, if they were deemed, based on these investigations, to be found in violation of some of these things, then we would not be subject to the penalties, correct?
We would have to discuss that with the Commerce Department because we are administering the program on their behalf.
Because there's some misery. Okay. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Eric, you want to add anything? You good? Okay. I'd like to turn it over now to speakers who are here on this item. Gustavo Villa, please come forward. Followed by Jessica Durham and Celine Perez. Please come forward. We have 2 available mics. Jessica Durham and Celine Perez. Okay. Gustavo, 1 minute.
Good afternoon. My name is Gustavo Villa. I have been working as a truck driver in the port of this area since 1991-92. I'm about 600 misclassified port truck drivers working for California Carriage. I drive for Cal Carriage Express. One of its 2 trucking companies operating in the port of Los Angeles property, the same site where Cal Carriage has foreign trade zone permit issued by the Port of Los Angeles. According to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, foreign trade zone sites are subject to the laws and regulations of the United States as well as those of the states and community in which they are located. It's simple. Companies who benefit from a foreign trade zone permit, like Cal Carriage, must follow the law. Cal Carriage is not following the law. The Port of Los Angeles is well aware
Thank you.
about these facts.
Thank you. Jessica Durham.
Thank you for your leadership, Council Member.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jessica Durham. I'm the director of the Ports Project at Lane. We've worked for over 12 years with our community and labor partners to transform conditions at the port, and currently working as part of the Our People, Our Port Coalition to stand with workers like Mr. Villa, who are fighting to change the system. We've, as part of that work, have also worked in assisting drivers in filing wage theft claims to the Labor Commissioner. We've supported 13 drivers at KNR Transportation, which is one of the companies also located at the same site, with wage theft claims, 3 of whom so far have been found to be employees. The rest, we're awaiting a decision any day now. It's not just the Labor Commissioner. The Employment Development Department has found 4 KNR drivers to be employees and therefore owed benefits. And there are 2 tax liens against KNR, presumably because they are evading our state tax laws and not paying their payroll taxes. Every government agency that has looked into this company has found violations, and the lawbreaking continues unabated. So thank you for your leadership on this issue, and we urge you to veto the permit until the company comes into compliance with all of our local, state, and federal laws. Thank you.
Thank you. Celine Perez.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Celine Perez. I'm the co-director of the Warehouse Worker Resource Center. So we want to thank you, Councilmember Buscaino, for taking this matter really seriously in terms of what's happening to the warehouse workers and the port truck drivers. The warehouse workers and port truck drivers have been in this fight for many years, raising situations of unsafe working conditions and health and safety violations, and have raised it to council members as well as the Port of LA and the Harbor Commissioners. They have filed 3 CAOSHA complaints, the most recent one in November 2017. CAOSHA has cited this facility first in 2015, again in 2016, the temp agency as well as Cal Cartage, and they have a current investigation. And in regards to the National Labor Relations Board, the administrative law judge just issued a decision then of March for ULPs and finding that the workers were accurate and about the retaliation happening. There is a complaint that was just issued this week from the National Labor Relations Board because of these situations. So we just want to really strongly raise that the retaliation continues. There's actually a worker here named Bruce Jefferson, Dwayne Wilson, that have been retaliated against, and Bruce was just terminated last week for speaking up because of the unsafe and unjust conditions happening at this warehouse. So we do want you to ask that you do revoke this permit. Thank you.
Thank you. Victor Gonzalez, followed by, is it Mary? Mary Duong? Welcome.
Good afternoon. I think everything's been said and done, so I can't add nothing more to that, but I've been a temp worker at Cal Cartilage NFI for 9.5 years. That's a temp worker. I get it mostly every day. So, like Selena said, and our other sister from Lane that was here, everyone's hurting. We make a little over minimum wage. And for the LA Port to make a little over minimum wages is very, well, you guys know, ridiculous. That's along with the truckers that our trucker was speaking about. So we just want these unjust, for them to do it right. Let's get everything right, for their company to keep going strong, and for the workers to get paid a decent rate. The truckers also, they're here, they know the complaints. Let's get it all done together right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Mary Jung, and I'm a faith-rooted organizer with Clergy and Laity United for Economic Justice, and I'm here to support the pork truck drivers and the warehouse workers for their dignity and justice in the workplace. We have heard many stories of them experiencing inhumane working conditions, wage theft, and racial discrimination at the ports, right on our city-owned property. And as people of faith, we believe that our workers are created in the image of God and bear the image of God. So mistreating workers is mistreating God. And as people of faith, our faith compels us to stop being complicit and take prophetic witness in the face of injustice. So we are here to ask you to take leadership to end the law-breaking practices at the Cal Cartilage and to vetoing the decision of the Harbor Commission in approving the FTZ permit for the company. Thank you so much for your leadership.
Thank you. If I can, Ms. Rodriguez, I'd like to bring back up Ms. Sidley, Jana. Just had a question on, you indicated that these complaints are in ongoing investigations. Is that correct?
That is my understanding.
Okay. And that there may be possible violations based on the complaints that are being investigated. Is that my understanding?
I would assume if OSHA is looking at it, there must be some sort of possible violation that they're looking at.
So knowing that, Mr. DiBernardo, why would staff recommend an extension, a one-year extension, based on these possible violations and ongoing investigations?
So, as we said,
we have a better understanding.
Well, again, we're administering this on the Department of Commerce's program. So, typically we do 5-year agreements. This one here was actually, we were doing 6 months agreements, and now there is a new owner of Cal Cartilage, which is called NFI, and we wanted to give them a chance and do the 1 year. And as you know, they are subtenant to the BNSF, and the BNSF basically has given them a rolling 1-year agreement that says you need to be out within 1 year if they decide to move forward with the BNSF yard, the skid project.
Okay.
So, so we felt with the new owners, we wanted to give them a chance in, rectifying any of the issues that they may have with OSHA, and allowing them to do this 1-year agreement as opposed to a 6-month one, which is actually quite labor intensive for Ms. Sidley's group as well as our group in doing a 6-month agreement each time for this foreign trade zone. And they do have product in there, and there are 29 employees that are focused on this aspect of the business. Again, this is a bigger business than just the foreign trade zone.
Sure.
There's a lot more activities going on there, so this is just a subset. And there's 29 employees that are associated with the foreign trade zone operation. So with cargo being in there, if we choose to revoke that, they do need about 6 months to move cargo out of there. So there is a lag time that they need in order to vacate the cargo that's sitting in there as well.
And Ms. Sidley, you're aware that the city attorney, Mike Fuhrer, filed unfair labor practice litigation against the tenant that's before us?
I'm aware that Mike Fuhrer filed in his capacity for the citizens of the state of California, filed claims against those companies that is separate and apart from what the Harbor Department can do. And that's as far as my understanding is. It's a different section of the office.
Okay. I see Mr. Michelson here. Do you want to speak on behalf of the city attorney on what's before us? Are you good? Okay. Okay, so I still struggle with this based on the pending cases, ongoing investigations, possible violations, the ongoing concerns expressed by the truck drivers, the USA Today investigation. We held a special T3 committee back in the fall. I have before me in my hands thousands of part truck drivers that have signed this. We have before me a, what do you want to call this thing? I mean, there's pages of petition, sorry. I buy a vowel. And it says, our people, our port petition encouraging action and end exploitation at the Port of Los Angeles. So I'm not comfortable. I'd like to, if you're okay with this, Ms. Rodriguez, veto the April 5th, 2018 action of the Board of Harbor Commissioners and remand the matter back to the board and take that back to the Harbor Commission. And I understand that this can also come back once we'll do a little, but we want to avoid a ping pong effect, but that will be, if you're okay with that, that'll be the direction of this committee. And we're hoping that we find some peace in this big issue that's facing this specific tenant, Cal Cartage. Thank you. That'll be the order. Thank you. So with that, any other? I do, and just for the record, I just need to indicate that my office has reached out to the new owners of item number 9 that we just vetoed back to the Harbor Commission, and they've fallen silent. So I just want to put that on record. Okay, so with that, any other items? Okay, we're now adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you for quickly getting up to speed.